We are going to start the tafsir part, the Sira part of our class first, because we have, put that thing in the door. Not, you're not listening.
Sing what?
What chapter are we on?
There you go. So we're going to do the Sira part first because my husband's in a board meeting. He's on the BIS board now, and they have a meeting every 3 weeks at this time, and we barely get this room off at our time that we're supposed to get it.
I'm shocked we have it.
Yeah, no, they're really good, mashallah. They've been
Plus the breakfast
jumping
this
out.
morning, it's
Breakfast,
yeah.
they spoiled us today.
Yeah.
Anyway, so our class is we're going to cover chapter 33. We're supposed to all have read it this last week. I read it last night, so.
I did too. It was only 9 pages, and
Well,
I waited at like 11 o'clock last night.
You have to remember, I read this.
You try to redo it. I haven't.
Reading it back so I don't go ahead of where and confuse everybody.
No, I haven't. I haven't read it before. I haven't read
But
ahead.
first, before we start, I'd like to welcome one of our brand new Muslims, Samantha. Have you taken Shahada formally? Oh, then, would you like to do so today? Okay. MashaAllah. Get it on video, Kevin. He's like, he always wants me to warn him ahead of time so he can capture it.
He's right about to take a bite.
Ali, if you'd like to tell the board if they'd like to come and join us to witness to the Shahada.
Also, we had a new Muslim last night at the Ayah fundraiser.
MashaAllah, yes.
I got a question.
Yes.
Why do you need to read the pages again if you read the book like 3 times?
So that I can discuss it in the chapter that
You
we're
didn't
in.
memorize it yet?
Yes, I've memorized it. I actually know a lot of it, but there's still a lot more that I'm learning new.
See, when people do things like that, I imagine you being in my classroom, and I'm trying to react, with the kid, and you do it with such a straight face.
I imagine him being right. I imagine him being right next to me, and I can do that.
I can only do that to my own kids. They won't let me do that to other people's
Yeah,
children.
that's where I'm lucky. He's one of mine. No,
No, but you get an excellent straight man, is what I'm saying.
He's very good at that humor.
You didn't even crack a spike.
He was just straight.
Just hold the Shahada for 10 minutes.
Can we do that in 10 minutes, inshallah? Okay. They rarely get to witness Shahada, so my husband's one of them, and he really enjoys watching.
They get to witness accounting reports and stuff like that.
Right.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. And it's, I think they are. There's another new thing. I love them. I miss them. Here's my sweet boy again. Where's the baby boy? Where's your brother? He's like, he's
We
coming.
traded him in for a dog.
No,
I tried to talk my parents into it.
we just get a puppy.
Didn't work. I thought when everybody brought him home, everybody was going to take him with them when they left, but they left it.
I need grab some more chairs for Khalta, please. Thank you, honey.
I would, but I'm stuck.
He's strategically set today.
I'll read it.
Okay. Hi.
Everything's silent.
No, I mean, there's a pink highlight I just shot through the other page.
Oh, I don't think so. No, there's a bunch of stuff saying it's just, probably gotta buy a new one.
Okay, first of all, mashallah,
Oh,
just
no, there it
as everyone's knowledge, the school was able to meet their fundraising goal last night, alhamdulillah. Everyone who was able to make it or wished they could have been and weren't there, then inshallah you've received the same reward as if you had gone and been able to donate. Those who attend and take the knowledge, huge reward. And those who wish they could have gotten there, the reward will inshallah be the same, because when we intend to do something and we just can't do it, then Allah will give us our reward anyway, inshallah. And how I know that is several different reasons, and I'll name them next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. The Imam Siraj Wahaj was the speaker last night. Very, very powerful speaker. His main discussion was about the prayer and how it's so vital to us, and what why we do it and everything. And I loved his point because it was very important for all of us to keep in mind, especially starting from fresh going forward. Unfortunately, I didn't know a lot of the things that I know now when I first became Muslim, just like you will not know a lot of things now that you will in 10 years or so, inshallah. But what we find so helpful to us, that could have been so helpful to us now, you're getting the benefit from it because we're able to share those things with you now in your early stages of Islam, whereas we did not have those things in the early stages of our Islam. You believe in one God, you believe Muhammad is the messenger, you're a Muslim. That was literally my shahada. So then I got to catch all the rest of it, and all the rewards of my teachers, mashallah. I've had some excellent teachers throughout my Islamic life, mashallah.
Or you could do it backwards like me and try to learn for like 5 years as much as you thought. Well, 1 or 2 years. I just kind of did a cram session.
She wore hijab for 5 years prior to taking shahada.
No. 6 months maybe.
No, you wore hijab.
No. I wore it. I started. I tested everything first. No, because I would have
Well,
been
maybe
16.
when you came to the masjid.
I came to the masjid. Yeah,
Okay,
I mean that kind of thing. No, I didn't wear it all. I wore it full time. And
I always thought she was wearing hijab. I never
Yeah.
even thought about it.
I did my little Jeff State experiment.
So that was really
And,
fun in those
and-
days.
yeah, and for
I
you
had
ladies,
those
yeah, I was
experiments.
going to Jeff State, and so that's where I grew up out in Pinson. So for you who put on hijab or haven't put on hijab yet, or you only wear it here and you haven't made that commitment, I was shaking so badly the first time I went to Jeff State. Now if I was with the ladies and stuff or something, no big deal. You know, I had a gang. You know, they'll protect me if anybody says anything. But
Protection in numbers.
Miriam will bite them or something. You know, as my sister-in-laws when they were little, they said, my sister's going to bite you if you don't leave me alone. But I could barely drive. I actually thought I was going to have to pull the car over. I was shaking so hard. So,
Sorry to
yeah.
put the, Maher put the shahada on hold, not me.
No, that's fine. She was very happy to do so.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So you have taken the shahada?
Not yet. We're getting ready. So, come on in, brothers. We're about to start. Once he got eye contact with me, he couldn't duck.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Come on in. Bring a chair. BYOC. Sorry I'm late. I overslept. I took some
You giving him
what we
lessons?
call myotonic. Apparently 2 pills are too much for me.
One, I only take one.
Yeah.
And it knocks me out.
I drink on this bottle.
Huh?
I was literally going to sit down there. I was like, I'm not going to sit that close. She's so docile.
Yeah. I was. Okay.
Pull a chair.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I was under the impression that Samantha had already become Muslim, so when I asked her now, she said she had not taken the Shahada yet. So she is a new sister to the community, inshallah, and we would like to do so now. I will ask just a few questions. They're the basic beliefs of Islam, and I like to do that just to make sure that you have no doubts on any of those concepts. It's not part of the Shahada. This is just a preliminary part of how I do my process.
Don't fail.
There's no failing.
This is Maryam style Shahada.
Yes. We believe in 6 basic beliefs, which are belief in Allah, the angels, the books, the messengers, or the prophets, all the prophets, and fate, predestination, which is good and bad, whether that Allah is knowledgeable about all things and gives us the situation, and we have the choice to make, but He already knows the choices we will make. So therefore, He already knows what our future will be. He knew us before we were born, so He has to know what we're going to do tomorrow. You know, and we believe in heaven and the last day. Heaven and hell, and it's sometimes connected. The last day is the day that we are going to be standing before Allah and be held accountable for the things that we've done, good or bad, inshallah. Do you have any questions on those beliefs? Now the books are 5. They're the Zabur, which came with Prophet Abraham. No, Dawood, sorry. The Scrolls of Abraham, the Psalms of Dawood, the Torah, the original text that came to Prophet Moses, the original text of the Injil that came to Prophet Jesus, and the Quran. And we do not negate any of the original text. We only have the one original text, which is the Quran in existence to today, as well as it being the completion of all of the other books. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. I'm going to say in English what you will be saying in Arabic, and if you agree in English, we'll say it in Arabic, inshallah. And I'll help you. Nope. I bear witness that there is no God but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. Do you believe in that statement? Is that a true statement for you?
Yes.
Okay. Ashhadu
Ashhadu
an la
an la
ilaha
ilaha
illallah
illallah
wa ashhadu
wa ashhadu
anna
anna
Muhammadan
Muhammadan
Rasulullah. Rasulullah.
Rasulullah.
Welcome to our community.
Allahu Akbar.
Before they leave, let's just remind you all that this sister is now our responsibility as well as we're her responsibility. You have a huge responsibility. So do we. Anything you ever need and we can help you with, it is
Call Sister
Our
Mariam
job-
and we'll help you help her. I was being serious. Instead of calling several people, go to one person. Everybody's going to guide you in different ways. So keep one person contact, and then if she needs help from us, she
they're
knows that
very
she
supportive
Yeah.
to
So-
anything that I ask for myself.
have one
They
one
always know that I'm
contact.
asking for a purpose. It's not just for playing around.
Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu
And I
alaikum.
usually don't let them say no anyway. Way Yaakov. Only when they have to, they say no. But yes, welcome to our community, and inshallah you'll enjoy a great benefit of sisterhood in this community. And if ever there's anything we can do to help you, or even just
I'm gonna have to
see
find you.
And you can
I'm
just
trying to see
call
if
on
it- see if
American
it works.
converts,
It's
by the way. Birmingham is heavy with that, and some cities aren't, unfortunately. So it's a really nice
Wait a minute,
community
am I
if you're a
even looking at
revert
this?
or a whether you would call yourself a revert or a convert. It's really great because you got people who know where you're coming from when you ask a question. They'll ask the same question. Let me tell you what's wrong. Let me find out what the answer
You-
is.
you're looking
What
at
you
the
got
spot there?
Yeah.
And in having
like-
become Muslim,
Oh, that's
10 seconds delay.
we have a gift for you.
how is it doing that?
You have an adhan clock. It'll call the adhan
How's it
5 times
moving?
a day, just like we were talking about
Because it's
earlier.
late.
That you would pray throughout the day.
Like it's 10
Pick
seconds
any of
late.
these colors that you would like for
looks like it's
prayer
more than 10
run.
seconds late.
All the video?
And then I have
Yeah.
a couple more books for you. I have this book
Okay, we're almost got it.
that we are working out of, and like I said, we're on chapter 33 today. Next week we'll be reading 34. But read chapter 34 and then try to catch
You
up
moved it right there.
as you can. Don't push yourself further than you can. And then this is the prayer book. It teaches you how to pray and movements and what to say, and I will show you. I'll try to go over it. I don't know if I can, or maybe Monica can help you in going over it for what has to be said in English. I mean, in Arabic specifically, that has to be read in Arabic. And it takes time, so you have that time. And there's a solution until you know it for sure. I am not going to memorize.
Enjoy your donuts. Do you have anything left for
So
me?
don't freak out. And that's because my teacher said, okay, I did it for a year, you're not taking a year because that was too long.
I would get you one.
Forced me to learn the Arabic, so which is good because I never would have.
Yeah. And then this is the prayer suit. There's a top to it and a skirt. Like I said, you can just put this on over whatever you're wearing, even if it's short sleeve, because it'll come down to your arm. And this is what you would use to pray on. This needs to be kept in a place that is, no animals can get to it, don't, of course, it's pretty much, you don't want to throw it on anything dirty. And should always stay away from dogs, specifically. Because the saliva, okay, just checking. Just because the saliva of the dog is impure, and so we can't let any of our clothing or our rugs or anything.
You have to clean
have
it
on
7
them.
times, and it would just be a
one
pain
at a
every time
time
you try to
with
pray.
dirt.
Trying to pray 500 a day and clean a road, yes.
And then this is the Dot book. It's a supplication book. A lot of us read this throughout the day just for insight and peace in our hearts. It's in English, it's in Arabic, and it's in Arabic with English writing. Like Arabic words. And then,
Class, and I'll talk to you about how you can start.
You're not allowed.
Where you're at, we'll figure out, we'll get you started, you know, but like I said, it's not.
Except that night.
My teacher sort of told me, she said, you can't do anything 5 times a day, wash the best you can, and go sit and pray however you can.
and that's what my advice to you will be, after we finish class, I'll sit down with you for a few minutes and we'll talk about exactly how to go through this week until we're able to get together to do the actual form.
So don't have, what I'm saying is don't have a heart attack.
Ali,
Okay.
open that closet, and in the box in the floor is the Quran. And go ahead and get those out. You're so welcome. Pick one of these
Can you
colors
get the
and see
donut?
which one you like.
I know, right?
Donuts.
That's
That's why I brought the purple. I knew it. I knew the girls are gonna go for the purple, mashallah. And then later I'm gonna ask a couple of questions, and I have some prizes for you guys. Inshallah. Okay, all of you who have read this chapter,
You're gonna ask.
I will be so happy because you will have it put in the box in the bottom. You see the bottom on the floor box? Closed up. Yeah, just move them over for a second. Open it up, grab one out, and put them back. Okay.
Do you need a chair? She likes the, you like the floor? Okay, I can't get up if I sit down on the floor. You understand.
Just like that.
Yeah. Okay. Who was able to get through chapter 33 this week?
There should be more hands in the air.
What was the question?
It was 9
Chapter
pages.
33, did you get through it?
Yes.
MashaAllah. There you go.
Come on, guys, it was 9 pages.
Yeah. Not bad.
It's the shortest it's gonna get us.
No, we had a 4-page.
4-page one, yeah, we did, you're right.
That was like the easiest one. Everybody's like, woo, I got through that chapter good. Anyway, this chapter was really good actually, and I say that about each of the chapters, but mashallah, I really like this, and I want to see if you guys can guess why. Why do you think I like this chapter this week?
It was short.
What else?
That's true.
Do you like reading?
Yeah, I like reading, but why else?
I didn't read it.
I know.
Okay.
Say it again. Mhm. She's like, I'm not saying it's good. It was right. That was good, Margaret.
Fighting for the sake of Islam, for Allah.
And the lesson out of it is what?
That we should do it.
No, there's
What was it?
2 types of deaths, if you will. Like death in the name of Allah as a martyr, and death as a hero, or what do you call it? Yeah.
There's Shaheed, and then there's the death of the hero that just went out and conquered, right? Okay. That's a part of it. What else? We should fight and struggle for the sake of Allah. It doesn't mean we all go make war on every country we can find, right? Again, we do not make war on any country we can find. Now, when this book, I love it because it mixes the history of the battles along with the person of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the surrounding that he was in and the people that he was around. And their commitment and dedication to everything they did. They did not do anything halfway. We talked previously about how the Prophet ﷺ kept sending envoys to different groups of people and as explaining Islam to the people or spreading the word of Islam in a knowledge way, in a free and, just here's what we're doing. This is what we believe. And subhanAllah, when you hear the truth, you hear the truth and you know it. There's no question about the information. Even those who are not ready to accept Islam, they know it's truth. So we need to never feel shy about what we're going to explain about Islam, but be knowledgeable about the things that you're going to explain, because there are things that you know, like, I don't know how to use, what best example to use right now because we do have a brand spanking new Muslim in the room. I would not say, okay,
My husband said,
no,
is that what you mean?
no. I would not just offer information that would be too difficult for anyone to accept the very first time they took Shahada, for example. Okay, now we don't celebrate our birthday, for example. It's not something that, I know Muslims like, what do you mean we don't? What is that? What's wrong with that? You know. But when they understand that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not celebrate his birthday, it was not an act of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and we live our lives the best we can to emulate his character and his actions in all the ways that we possibly can, which is called living by the Sunnah. When we live by the Sunnah and the actions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and we walk through our lives pretty much as close as we can to the things that he did and how he was, his character and patience and love and kindness and compassion and all of this, then we are going to be having a lot better chance at going to paradise than if we didn't emulate any of his characteristics, right? So that's what I'm talking about. It doesn't mean, and some people say birthdays are no problem. I'm not getting into opinions here. I'm just saying I would not just throw something at somebody unless they ask. And this is what I've said many times. If you ask me the question, I'm going to tell you the answer. And I'm not going to play with the answer. I'm going to tell you the answer. Because if you ask, you're ready for the answer. So that's how I go with that. But that's what, subhanAllah, when these people were becoming Muslim and they're having the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, standing in front of their face and the best example of Islam, you know, the commitment level was so very strong. There's chairs up here. Oh, you're. Yeah.
There's a chair right.
She doesn't want to sit. She's. But the commitment was so strong, and this is what we should be actively doing in our lives anyway. When we accept a religion, I want to hold that baby. When we accept a religion and our new knowledge and things like this, we should do our best to grab it, hold it, and actively put it into our lives. Okay? Doesn't mean everything you hear you're ready to do, though. So go with it, you know. Take your time, but make sure that you're actively moving forward. And we talked about that a little bit in the first class as well. Anyway, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he sent all of these envoys out to the different tribes and nations and stuff, many of them were met with a beautiful meeting. You know, yeah. I need to breathe for a second.
Yeah. Most of them had a really nice response. Many of them accepted. Even if they didn't accept, they were respectful. They sent gifts. Only the ruler of Persia was rude in his response. I believe he tore up the letter or something like that. And they all went with the idea that you don't, you know, the old "you don't kill the messenger" saying kind of thing. Until we get to this chapter.
That kind of reminds me of the movie 300.
Yeah.
This is Sparta.
I've never actually seen that entire thing.
There's a vision. I'd like God, but
The only thing I remember is the wife telling her husband if he didn't come back on his shield, don't come back at all. And I was thinking, love you, honey.
SubhanAllah. Okay, so we have people that when they were going out, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had made the Arabian area safe as possible because of every battle that they fought, the other people who were way outnumbering them, or the enemy side, was always having a very difficult time, or they lost. No matter what, somehow they did not have the advantage, even though they had so much more power, so much more people, so many more armory, shields, protection, horses, you name it, all of that. So they had a much more accepting response to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's envoys. But at the same time, as he sent out further than that, he was still not sure how they would be received, right? So like Sister Monica
Remember,
was talking
they
about.
had a couple incidents where they had sent teachers out in the past and they had been killed. I think it was 2 incidents like that. So there was still a little trepidation about worrying about the people you're sending out because everyone didn't always follow the rules.
Mhm. Are you done? Oh, it's okay. Not bad. Oh, okay. Go ahead. You can leave your stuff. Okay, so we have several that accepted them well and easy, no problems, and then you have the others who, very few treated them badly when they
It
received
says only
them.
one was rude.
Well, there's the Persian, the one from Persia.
Heard that was him.
another.
That was him. It was absolutely
Well,
rude.
in the past they were.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Even though the message of Islam was still such a contradiction to their main beliefs, that what do you call it? Habit was very strong and very deep in their culture was don't kill the messenger, don't abuse the messenger, treat them hospitably.
One of them even gave the messenger a present personally,
Yeah.
I recall. You know.
Mhm. So this ruler, however, did not. And what happened was, what happened? How did they even come in contact with one another?
Ran into him
Mm-hmm.
on the road.
Mm-hmm. He didn't know who he was, right? He's like, who are you? What are you doing here? What happened at that point?
I think he told his men, tie him up and chop off his head,
Yes.
which is not a nice reception.
No. This would be killing the messenger.
Not in any culture.
Totally
Is that a
opposite.
nice reception?
Totally opposite of their deep ingrained habit. Totally opposite, which is why it was such a huge hit against the people, against anyone, and everybody who heard about it was such a strange and foreign concept to them. But because he hated the concept of Islam, he did the most detestable act that they have ever treated any of the messengers. And in this, what happened? How was it received, and how did Prophet Muhammad ﷺ know about it?
This is what happens when you don't read the chapter.
No, they're just too shy to tell. Evelyn's like, I did my part. I spoke up. We're done. I'm kidding. I'm
Put a lot of
kidding.
pressure on a few people in this class.
I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I'm proud of you, Evelyn. You usually let everybody talk while you've read it, but you don't say much. So that's good. You spoke up.
I don't have the book, so I can't say much.
Oh, you don't have this book? Well, you people have to talk up. If I don't know you don't have the book, I can't get it to you.
He sent 3,000 men to that area where it actually took place.
Yes.
And basically said to them to go to the people in that area, spread to them Islam. And for those who basically accepted Alhamdulillah, for those who don't, you know. But I think that it was to show that if this was done in the near future, any Muslim envoy or person that you kill, that it's not just like that's going to be accepted.
They weren't just anybody. They
So
were.
it's basically setting a precedence, if you will, a paradigm, a model that be mindful that if you do this to even the least, there could be consequences as a result.
Yes.
And it wasn't revenge, though. It wasn't, it was justice.
Right.
You know, it was,
Like you said, it says precedence
Yeah.
of we're behind all of the people we send out. In other words, they're under our protection, not just verbally, but physically we will act, you know. Don't mess with ours, we won't mess with yours, in other words.
and
you know.
any group in the area, regardless of whether they agreed with the Muslims or not, would have seen that as justice. Like, yes, you cannot allow that to happen, because once we allow that to happen,
It's free game.
everything
for
breaks
everybody.
loose. No one's safe, and we won't be able to communicate or do what we normally do.
And he named 3 people to lead the army. Who were they?
Jafar.
Jafar.
Yeah, don't do the Aladdin. You know, that messed me. I knew the name Jafar, and I would catch myself going Jafar, and I go, oh no, Jafar. You know,
Don't do the Monica either. It's Jaffa.
Yes.
How
Jafar.
different was mine, Jafar?
No, he said Jafar.
No.
No, I said Jafar from the movie.
Jafar. Jafar is not a word.
Okay, well then.
It's
There's
Jaffa.
an ain after it.
Okay, well everybody I know named Jafar's been answering me. So
Aladdin
there we
and
go.
Monica.
And they'll even answer to Jafar if you want to know the
Yeah.
truth.
Hey, I answer to hey you. so it doesn't matter. As far as
Hey,
you're
you.
as long as I know you're talking to me, I'll answer.
Just say Jay.
Anyway, yes. Anyway, Japhad was definitely one of the commanders. Who else was the last one? Abdullah. Now, these three were extremely good commanders, extremely strong in their commitment to Islam, as well as their commitment to whatever they put their mind to. They didn't do anything halfway. And how do we know that?
Any answer's a good answer.
Not any.
They said so.
I
The book
told
said
you.
so. Well.
Don't give him room.
Okay.
They were close to the Prophet.
No, I'm kidding. No, they were close to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Also,
He basically selected those three and basically gave them the instructions that if each one of you are killed, then let the army choose the one who will precede that one.
I need you to come sit up here, Brother Nadir. Come on. This is our army guy, by the way. Not army, but military, right? Were you in the army? Marine Corps, see? I couldn't say army with that one.
No, I
I'd
don't
get
take,
stomped
I
on.
don't take,
I'm
I'm
kidding.
still stuck on I can't pronounce the
I'm
number
just
correctly.
kidding.
I don't take that.
26 years, and that's the first time somebody's ever corrected me on that name.
He's
Or
beyond
that
that
you
now. He's
mispronounce
out.
it for 26 years.
He's Muslim. We don't have to worry about that anymore, mashallah. No, but strategy-wise, that's what Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did. He said, these are the three leaders, and it will be Zayd, then Ja'far, then Abdullah, right? And he named them specifically. Did he know they would fall? That they would die? Did he know which order they would die in? No. Allah knows. I ask that because we don't need to have that question in our heads. Okay? I have a purpose. Because we don't need to sit and read something into something unless it was clearly evidential and backed up. Okay? We can't sit there and imagine, so he must have known and he must have this and it. It's just like trying to imagine Allah's not allowed.
Didn't occur to me.
If it's not here, I know.
Yeah.
I think odd. But if it's not evidentially proven in through hadith and Quran and things like this, we should not be mentioning it. There are things that he did know and that were evidentially stated, that were explained to the people and how he knew and why he discussed it at that time and everything. But in this, it was not evidentiary and evident, was not evident. Words are my enemy today, seems. Anyway, so we have some things where we know it and other things we're not supposed to try to figure out and guess and suppose. And that's when we start going in a different direction than what we're supposed to be going in. Okay? But definitely, the order was clear. This one first, this one second, this one third. And if all three fall, you choose among you. Okay? He didn't say, then pick this one. Right? Now, the beauty behind that is what?
I know, I was just thinking 3 was a lot to choose in the first place. I mean, to me,
Not when you're facing
yeah,
all
but
of
you know,
Persia.
still.
Did you not see that 300?
300, no, I did not. I think I made that clear.
Good.
Because I had to watch it like
Don't
this,
watch
because
it.
nobody had to.
I know.
You know,
That's
so.
what I was saying. I had no idea what we were about to.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
The new one's coming out too.
We're not watching that one,
Watch it.
definitely. I already know. Anyway, but when you look at that move, when you think about the army of Persia, they were massive and they were aggressive and they were they had no religion really. They had nothing that was pure about their belief systems or anything. It was all very extreme. They
These were
didn't
the
have these
Byzantines,
soft,
so-
sweet, warm and fuzzy feelings, you know.
This is where knowing world history comes into, helps you.
Helps you out, unless you're
Yeah.
mispronouncing Hercules.
I think we've got Byzantine though. I think we're good this week.
Byzantine,
But something to think about, I think,
Persians.
is when you look at the numbers.
Mhm.
When you
There's
look
where
at
the information comes in.
200,000 people fighting 3,000 people.
And there wasn't even a thought about it already.
I mean, when you
There
look
were
at just,
some.
if you just take
Right,
that number
right.
alone, you would think.
That's what I want you to tell me
It's
about.
over in
Oh, I
Oklahoma.
can't remember.
So that's something to think about as.
I read it last week.
Yeah, well, at the Battle of Badr, there was a lot of reference back to the Battle of Badr, you know, in this particular
Well,
one.
it mentioned because you had people
597,
who would
middle
look
of
at
the
the
page.
numbers and
Quotes.
say, oh my God. And he said, well, I remember in this Battle of Badr, we only had 2 horsemen. Remember in the hood, we
And
only
it was
had
one.
1 horseman.
Yeah.
So don't let that, and I think the message that I think, inshallah, I hope we think about, see yourself, the battles that you're going through in life as these battles. Because a lot of times we look at these and we say, that was specific to them. But look at it in your life. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had to battle with his own family. Many of us, when we become Muslim, who are the first people we had to battle with? Some of us are still battling with family. So you look at his life, how patient he was in dealing with family.
And the wisdom he used.
Not to sever the ties, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
That's exactly what I'm talking about too. And to make sure that we understand that, and I've said this before, if you read this book, you will find a lot of your situations happening in this book, especially in the beginning. And I don't know if everybody was part of the beginning of the book, but if you have read what you need to be reading, you will find those same battles that you've already had to face, and possibly at work still, and people that you love, and your friends, and all of that. Yes, Amir?
No.
Okay.
I
We
wanted
have...
to say something. The Persians did have a religion, and it's not they didn't have any religion.
They didn't have rules of war, though, is what I mean.
Oh.
They didn't have any common decency or, what do you call it? What was the...
No Geneva Convention.
That's the word I was looking for.
They didn't
have Geneva Convention. There was no Switzerland with them.
Etiquette.
Yes. The etiquettes were very full force, you know. I didn't mean to say no religion. Thank you for correcting me, though. When we look at the specific acts of war, in 1 minute, Tony, you're going to be up. In the specific acts of war, there were specific rules that were given to the Muslims. When he said, when you go and you find these people, if they accept your message and openly allow you to share the message, then leave them be, let them be. Doesn't mean make them be Muslim. It means let them allow you to speak. If they do so peacefully, leave them alone. Don't mess with them. If they fight, if they are combative with you in any way, then fight them. And Allah be with you. You know, and I think that's actually what was
that's
stated.
important, what you just said. Repeat that, because it wasn't, you said that go and if they allow you to speak peacefully, speak with them. It didn't mean if they say, well, I'm not sure yet, or I don't want to accept Islam, that you kill it. That wasn't what happened.
Right. The way the book was written,
it
would give you the impression that if they didn't accept it, kill them.
Right.
So you have to go back when in any situation like that. What does Quran say? La ikraha fi din.
Yeah.
It's no compulsion.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But because of our perceptions we get from media and stuff, sometimes we project that onto what we're reading, and so really understand that point. It was just only if they fight you do you fight them, not if they
or
don't.
if they prevent you from sharing that message, you know,
Right.
because that is an act as far as, because he was already sending them for battle, if they're going to be in any way confrontational or keep preventive, then there is the act of aggression, you know. I believe, am I correct in all that?
And I believe the other thing is not necessarily that he was asking them to convert all as a group, but he was asking, the other thing that the Prophet ﷺ was asking is to make the law of the land the law of Islam. So kind of like you don't have to become Muslims as individuals,
right,
but as a state, the law of the land
would do that to me.
Right.
So that's kind of what, like, you know, when they would send a letter to
part of the
someone
bigger
say,
picture.
Accept Islam, basically accept Islam as your
The methodology.
as the methodology of law of the land without necessarily forcing the people to come.
Right. It wasn't unusual at that time for a group to come in and say either you are with us and one of us and you assimilate completely, or you're a slave, basically. That wasn't unusual.
But Islam did not
That
do
was the way
that.
it was
It
doing,
said,
yeah.
these are the rules of Islam, comply with those rules, and everything's fine. If you don't comply with those rules, you are welcome to leave. Or we battle. Those were the issues.
Or we can have we can have a treaty of peace where
But the rules were still there. So either you're complying with those rules, or you're allowed to leave, or you're allowed to battle. And those were the options that were open to them at that time, I believe. Now, the rules that went with this army, these 3,000 people, okay, when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ called them up, he said, this is what's happened, it's time. We need to move on. 3,000 people came straight, and he named the three commanders. After he named the three commanders, he gave rules. What were they?
Don't destroy any buildings.
Don't go out there ready to kill everything, and don't be destructive. You still have to comply with the rules of Islam. You have a responsibility to do your job as a Muslim, no matter what you're about to do, because killing is not easy. I don't care who you are. I don't care what purpose is behind the killing. I don't care why you are, and inshallah we never face that. I know some of us have, being in the military and stuff, but it is very destructive on the soul. It hurts you, and it affects you to an extent you may not even feel how deeply until you're way away from it, and you have beauty of another kind coming to you. That's when you feel that amount of destruction. But these were Muslims who were not willing to die. I mean, they were not willing to let Islam die. They were willing to die themselves in order to be able to share the message of Islam and not allow them to harm the Muslims who they were protecting, or the people they were protecting as well. But with this, no building was allowed to be destroyed. No trees were allowed to be cut down. No children or women or elders. Or religious leaders.
In seclusion.
Not religious leaders, monks.
Monks praying in seclusion.
Because a religious leader can
I didn't
be,
see monks in here.
yeah, someone in seclusion, which is kind of about monks.
Or a monk praying in seclusion.
Oh, okay.
To me, the most
Sorry.
important, to me, well, not the most important, but
Because
the
a religious leader can be a military leader as well.
True.
So whereas the monk or the nun or stuff like that, they are sitting in their monastery or stuff like that. They
Actively worshiping.
Right.
And they are not in the business
of government.
Right.
Yeah, of government or of telling people you do this.
Right.
Or that.
Except in religious. But to me, the most, not most important, but the thing that hit me the most was he said, don't break any promises you give. I thought that was really important. Set an example, don't break a promise, be an example, show the truth, and then don't hurt any innocent,
I think the other point, which many Muslims don't get, which is in Islam, fighting is not for the purpose of killing or for the purpose of dying. It's for the purpose of reaching a certain mission and a certain goal. And that is the goal. And what the Prophet ﷺ was saying to them is that you reach your goal without hurting those particular groups of people. So you only fight when you need to fight the ones who are fighting.
Right.
Not aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's true we talk about Shahada, and it's a great thing, but Shahada, like dying a martyr, it's not, you have to really die as a martyr, It's just, if it happened, it happened. But you don't purposely put yourself in that place for no reason.
Right. Okay, the other thing was what Brother Nadir already mentioned about the numbers of enemy against the people, against the Muslim army. What was it was 3,000 to 100,000 of the Byzantines and 100,000 of the Arabian groups? Tribes. Yeah. So around 200,000, but it's not a complete confirmed number, so we don't even worry about all that, except that the message behind it is clear. There you go, Tony. Your turn. I told you I was gonna.
You may skip me.
You didn't look. I gave you all the answers.
I was trying to talk to Khalil online.
Oh, you tell him to give us a minute.
I was trying to tell him about Shahad.
MashaAllah. Well, when you look at the Brother Nadir also hinted at this a little while ago. Abu Huraira, radiallahu anhu, was one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was, I mentioned this in the earlier class, one of the biggest narrators of the hadith that we are given by Bukhari and Muslim and Tirmidhi, is it not? And Dawood? Just about every I guess, yeah, in all of the books, but you see numerous, I mean, it's, how many hundred thousand?
He was a relatively new Muslim too.
I know Aisha was al-Hadith, right?
Yeah, she, I think he may have narrated a little more than she did.
Yeah. And
But of course, the kind of the hadiths that she narrated have a certain interest in them, and the hadiths that he narrated are different. Kind of like they were
Aspects
with the
of life.
Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam
in different aspects. Yeah. Okay, so he was one of the Prophet's companions. He was very surprised at, I mean, it's like overwhelming to see that number of people. If you look out and you see 200,000, not only just men, but also horses and weaponry that they were not endowed with, you know, subhanAllah. You have to remember who the Muslims were. They were not these wealthy, well-off, all of this, and well-prepared. They came and fought with everything they had, and they didn't have everything everybody else had, you know. But
he was also a relatively new Muslim. He became Muslim after the treaty of, and I'm going to do it. Hudaybiyah.
Every time.
Every time.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. He was still fairly new. When he looked at the army and he's like, whoa, who's the...
Well, they knew about the army before they met them in the town of Ma'an.
Yeah, they knew about it, but they were...
Different thing to
when
see
they
it.
actually saw it, he was like taken aback a little bit. But what is who was the one who mentioned, who was talking to him? I can't remember.
Thabit ibn
Thabit,
Arqam?
yes.
Thabit
ibn
Arqam?
Arqam.
I'm afraid to say a name now.
Ibn Arqam.
Arqam.
Me too.
I think you took, I'm never going to
Anyway,
get it right,
it says,
so let's just agree on that.
He said, he is reported to have said, and this is Abu Hurairah mentioning a story that took place with him and the Sahaba Thabit ibn Arqam. And he says, he is reported to have said, I took part in the battle of Mu'tah, when the unbelievers drew near to us, we saw a great force fully equipped with arms and well dressed. I was dazzled. Thabit bin Arqam spoke to me and said, Abu Hurairah, you seem to be surprised at their superior forces. When I answered in the affirmative, he said, you were not with us at the Battle of Badr. We do not win on the basis of our numbers. We do not win on the basis of our numbers. You are one person at work. You are one person at the grocery store. You are one person when you go to any big outing usually, unless you bring a bunch of people with you. You can do that, but you're the minority. You don't have to ever feel like a minority. You don't ever have to allow yourself to reach that limit. And you can always understand that you may be the minority, but Allah is with you. So who has the more power behind them? If you're acting in accordance to Islam, then Allah is with you. And you never have to worry about their numbers. And that's exactly what he's talking about here. We were always small in number, but we didn't win by the number of our people. We won by the grace of Allah and the mercy of Allah and the permission of Allah. Because at Uhud, did they win? Battle of Uhud, the mountain where they were supposed to stay on the mountain and not move until the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ called them down, and they were told Muhammad died, and they did not win, in other words. Okay?
Well, we talked about that was depending on how you looked at it.
Yeah,
they might be confused.
In a battle
the
sense,
book.
they did not win. The battle turned against
It was
them,
not a
and they had to
definitive win.
leave. They had to leave to protect the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and they had to leave to get back home.
It was not a definitive, absolute win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Let's
say
it that
they did
way.
not win battling. Okay.
Yeah. That's how I always looked at it. But
New dictionary.
the brother,
New dictionary.
the brother who wrote the book, went around about historians' perception and that
There
kind
were
of thing.
wins and there were losses. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way. There were spiritual
It was a
wins and there were spiritual stalemate. Yes.
But I think
We
what's
beg to differ.
what's
He
key-
and I always differ a little bit. It's
what's
good
key
differing.
in Uhud is the instructions that were given.
The lesson that came from it.
Instruction was,
Yeah.
don't do this, and people ran chasing something they shouldn't have been
Their
chasing.
intention changed.
So the lesson in life is that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you something, stick with the prescription. Otherwise, you will have side effects. It's that simple.
And I think one of the generals that we were talking about now were instrumental in that battle too, and them losing at that time, or either the stalemate.
He was the leader of the other army
that came around to attack them during that period.
Yes. And when they, yes.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so in other words, do right, keep right, stay right. Okay? You follow the rules of Islam, you don't differ, you don't waver, you don't go away from it. You're more likely, you're not going to get everything you want. Number one, you will always be tested. But never fall to that test, because once you fall to that test, you start doing what? And we talked about this earlier in the first class as well. You stop, you've already gone in the negative, right? Because you have not continued moving forward with positive, you're already in the negative. Because all those positive things that you're not doing, you've not gotten. So you're going behind now. You don't want to stop you don't want to miss one of your prayers and not worry about it. You need to stay worried about it. You have to make it up. Because without having made that prayer up, you've already lost something. You've lost it. And if you lose that, the next one's easier to lose. The first one hurts. Second one is, oh, I know, I already did that once, but I'll get to it. The second one, the third, you're like, oh my God, no big deal. I know I missed it. I'll catch it tomorrow. And further to where you're not praying for a month, 2, 3 years, 7, right? We go through, and we've all witnessed things like this, or we've all kind of almost fallen into it maybe even. But you can't ever allow yourself to hit that spot and not force yourself out of it, propel yourself out of that, because you will go behind further than you could have ever imagined yourself to go behind. I've seen very religious people, extremely religious people, and then you turn around and you find their life is way opposite several years later because they stopped praying. The first prayer didn't bother them. The second one didn't bother them. The 4th, 5th, 7th, 2, 3 weeks, whatever, doesn't bother them. And then they're no longer worried about the prayer, so what else are they worried about? Not much else. So you go so far behind. So
it's easy to slide backwards. It's easy to do nothing.
Snowball down a hill. I said that earlier too. Snowball down a hill. Once you've got the ball rolling, it's going to build and build and build. Yes, Aiden.
It doesn't just roll by itself until you get this big. Then it starts rolling.
Yeah, you have to make the effort to make it bigger. That's absolutely true. Actually, you didn't know you were going to be a smart little boy right there, but you were. Your comment.
I've lived in snow for 9 years.
I know, but I know what you didn't realize what I'm going to get from your comment. In other words, that's very important because you may not have felt like you put effort into not praying, but that was an effort. You actively did not pray, and you actively missed the next prayer, and you actively so you're pushing that snowball every time. Okay. Till it starts rolling on its own and you have no control over it anymore.
And something to think about. I always try to parallel everything in life. Most of us have started a regiment, a workout program.
Could be a big rock in the way.
And it's amazing how you'll get to a certain point, and just when you're about to get in shape, you stop. And then you wait 5, 6 months later, and it's like starting completely over. And a lot of times that's, or worse.
Can I get an amen?
So,
I mean,
from the female side.
all the time. Okay, so we go on and we have this, that's absolutely true. I've been there too many times. Alhamdulillah, not with my prayer, just my diets. Alhamdulillah. So they reached a point where they stopped at a city because they realized the forest in front of them was big. Let's confer. What do we do now? And remember, 3,000 men. They're not all right next to each other, these leaders. They're all in different areas leading different groups or factions that are doing different jobs in the army, in the battle. So you have, they're all getting together, and all of the people who are advising are saying different things. Okay, we have this big thing in front of us. What do? We should not call, sorry. Don't email Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We should write Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I said call. I know, but I said call, and I'm like, no. Anyway, but we should write Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and see what he says for us to do. And this is where Abdullah, the third lead commander that was named by Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, stood strong, and he said that this was not something they needed to do, and if they hesitated, then there would be a bigger we call it side effect. Okay, repercussion. There you go. The cause of your hesitation now, and this is his statement, the cause of your hesitation now is the very prize which you have set out to achieve, namely martyrdom. We have not fought any enemy on the basis of our numerical strength or our better equipment or our superior number of horses. We fight them only with the religion with which God has blessed us. Let us march on. I attended the Battle of Badr when we had only 2 horses. At the Battle of Uhud, there was only 1 horseman in our ranks. March on, brothers. We stand to win one of 2 great prizes. Either we will achieve victory, and this is what God and his messenger have promised us, and sorry, I thought I missed a line here. And it is a promise which never fails, because remember, when Allah promises us something, and he does this throughout the Quran, he never lies. What he says is going to happen. If you do this, he will do that. That's a promise. And Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the same aspect. Or we will achieve martyrdom, in which case we join our brethren who went before us into heaven. And this, it's not saying go out there and kill yourselves. He's saying go out there and fight for the purpose of freeing the rights of the Muslims and the ability to share the Islam with the people freely. Okay? This is where I like to make it very clear. Suicide is not our mission. We are not out there just to die. Okay? We are out there to struggle in our lives, and in the process, if something like that were to happen, then Allah has promised us a status called Shaheed. This status of Shaheed is one of the most direct ways to get to paradise. It doesn't mean you seek it out. It means if it happens to you and Allah blesses you with that status, then that your reward is paradise immediately. And only the shaheed will wish to come back to live again, so they can die 10 more times the same way because of the reward that they are given in the paradise. It does not mean we go out seeking that. But if we need to do, if we're out in a situation, and subhanAllah, you're out in hijab, for example. I mean, I don't know how many times I was almost killed. Long time ago.
Don't go out with Miriam.
Miriam might bite.
I don't have any problems. I'm really tall and mean looking, so nobody bothers me.
I was sitting in a car. That wouldn't have affected anybody. Anyway, I was in the car, and a man stood in front of my car. It's the middle of the night, and stands in front of my car and tells me to stop, and I pushed my gas pedal as hard as I could, because I was not stopping in the middle of the night on Valley Avenue. Across from 2 very huge dance clubs.
He has her license plate like right across his forehead where she hit him.
No, I didn't. He pulled out a gun, and I stopped. Because I don't mind stopping then. I'm not going to make it happen, but I'm not asking for it. You know, I'm not going to.
That's what I would have hit the gas.
Anyway, he was security for this apartment complex, but I did not see a uniform. I did not see anything. This is at Denise's.
Well, I'd be in jail right now if it had been me. I killed a security guard.
Anyway, he wasn't supposed to have it. He wasn't supposed to have a gun. Anyway, but I'm saying if something were to happen to me that night, he was stopping me specifically because I was covered. And he said it. You're dressed like that, and you've gone through here several times. I was taking people home or going to pick up food or whatever, and I was, subhanAllah, the designated person to go run the errands.
You weren't casing the joint?
No. But I was like, you know, what is the deal? So what? I'm dressed like this and I've come through several times. Who cares? I don't live here. I'm visiting people. I'm bringing stuff. I don't have to explain my comings and goings to you. To him, he had security on his belt buckle and a gun. And I was supposed to know he was security. But had I died at that point, I would have died shaheed. And I wish to have that status as my death. I don't want to die in a different way, because how do you die in a different way? You will be standing in front of Allah, and you will be questioned, and you will be asked, and you will be said, why did you do this? Well, your mouth will not be working, your body will be talking. This hand will say, I touched it, and I reached for it, and I did it.
Or she made me. She had me.
Yeah, I don't know the exact words, I'm just saying. You know, I don't want to stand in front of Allah having to answer for the things that I know what I've done. All of us know what we do. I slept extra 10 minutes and almost missed the Fajr prayer. I was watching TV, I was really interested, and the adhan came on and I didn't run to my prayer. I'll be answering for those things. I'm not telling you anything else I've done. But we are,
Those are all theoretical.
Yeah, hypothetically,
Hypothetically,
we all do it. Not everybody is at the same levels all through their lives, but if we're going to pass, we should pass that way, subhanAllah. Or I wish for that as my status, because I don't want to have to answer, because there's stuff I've forgotten, and I know Allah does not forget. So, anyway, that's where I want to explain martyrdom. We don't seek it. We don't go out for it. We don't go to each battle hoping to die. We go to each struggle fighting for our rights and our religion and the ability to explain it properly. And just to be free. Everybody, throughout history, we all look back at how many people who've been enslaved and given such a disgusting treatment of less than human being. And that goes for every nation has had this situation take place, and every group of people, even if you, not to the same degrees and not to the same extents, but when you enter into a life where everybody's put on the same level, and the only difference between my being better in the eyes of Allah or in the eyes of anybody is my piety, and only Allah knows that, we're all on the same playing field. He's not better than me, I'm not better than him that I can tell. You see? I can't say because he's, I'm just a lowly housewife, he's a PhD, I don't know what his level of education is, but I'm saying I have an associate's degree, he's PhD, he's better than me, he's a doctor, he's that. He's the same as me, except with Allah. And Allah knows whose heart has more piety than the other, because we don't see each other's heart. I already talked about that the other time, but I'll say it again later when it's funnier again. Save that one for later. I needed a point made, so we make sure that we're Okay, so when we go into these discussions of these leaders, each one of them fought till they died. They were leading the group, but the Byzantines, their main attack strategy. What time is it? The main strategy was to get the leader. Why? Why do they go after the leaders?
So that they think that it's over, the battle's over with that. I don't know.
Break the spirit.
Yeah.
Cut the head, the body dies, right?
Yeah.
Cut the head, the body dies. That was always the methodology in the times, and still pretty much with different people.
Well, not just that, the leader was carrying the banner, and traditionally in war, even up until the Civil War and stuff, they took out the drummer because that was giving morale to the people. They took out, even if it were children, they took out the drummer, they took out whoever was carrying the flag. That was what you did to take down the morale of the group. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And these leaders were the ones carrying the banner and fighting.
Yes. And each one, as each one fell, the other that was named next to that one picked up the banner, right? Until Abdullah, was it Abdullah that?
Yes.
Well, not just took up the banner, but
Abdullah bin Rawaha, when he picked it up and his hands were cut, right?
That was Ja'far.
That was Ja'far.
Yeah, he was the second. After Zayd died,
You're next.
Ja'far, and I'm mess up his
Cut
name.
off both of his.
But now I'm gonna be
Ja'far.
Okay, him, Jay. Picked up. Sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful.
Radiallahu anhu.
But he
Read
off
the
one arm,
stories of these
cut
people.
off one hand. He switched the banner
Read
to
their
the other
documentary.
hand.
Their
They cut off.
biology,
Yeah.
biography.
They cut off that hand, and to the point where
I
he
think
was
it goes
holding. I
to
mean,
that.
talk about dedication. I mean, he was holding the banner with his arm, with his
With
arms,
the upper
without
parts of his
hands.
arms,
You know, until they killed him. And when they killed him, he
Had
had
over
like
90
wounds. So holding on to the banner, and it wasn't a matter of. It's not that there was anything. It wasn't a special banner. It wasn't magical or anything like that. It was
follow this. This is where we're
yeah,
going.
and it was the strength and the spirit of the person. You know what I'm trying to say, right? Without words.
It was the
apparently.
It was the
Yeah.
agreed upon
Yeah.
goal. We're going here. This is where we all need to be heading. You know. Also, when it was Abdullah.
Abdullah was the last. Yeah.
When the last commander that was named by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abdullah
bin
Rawaha, when he fell, Thabit bin Arqam picked up the banner and said, "You now have to elect your own commander." And what did they say?
They chose him, but he didn't want it.
Not me. I'm not the best.
I'm holding it.
And
Pick somebody else.
this is a really important lesson.
Yeah.
You don't, just because you're calling for the people to pick someone doesn't mean you're the person they should pick. And a lot of people will jump that, okay, you're it. You know, you're
The glory of the moment. He could have very easily said, okay, but he knew he wasn't maybe the best person. So
that, and you're not supposed to seek leadership. You're not supposed to seek higher positions. You're not supposed to seek stuff like that, because you will always there's always that ability to doubt yourself and others to doubt you. Why do you want that position? It doesn't mean it doesn't mean because you're the best and you're asking for it that everybody else agrees with you. And why should you think you're the best? Ever. Anyway, but he knew he's not. He knew he was not, he denied, and so they chose who? Khalid bin al-Walid. He is the one who led the Quraysh against the Muslimin in the Battle of Uhud and was the reason for the strategy that worked to get the Muslims on the run instead, right?
Remember the last chapter? He was the one we talked about. His brother wrote him when they went on the first Umrah. He wrote him a letter. He was the one that kept holding off, and they kept talking about how intelligent he was. And then finally he came with the other two to Medina, and he was accepting Islam, and he was an advisor to Prophet Muhammad. Okay, what did I do?
Not you.
It's me. Okay, but yeah.
Not him. I was saying.
But just so you remember who he is, because I know all these names, it gets confusing, and they're not names that are familiar to us. It's hard to connect who's who. But he was the one that was so intelligent but he held off for so long.
Now.
So he's a new Muslim too.
And this is something really interesting because he was a new Muslim.
Yeah.
Right.
And yet they chose him to be a leader.
Yes.
And he was the leader of the enemy army against them. This is also very telling. When you become a Muslim, you are not held by your previous acts anymore. The people do not look at you negatively.
Or shouldn't.
Or they should not. This is the rules of Islam, that once you accept Islam, and this is something I forgot to tell you, Sam, when you accept Islam, your previous sins are no longer there. They come into your new life as positives because you will never do them again. You took Shahada saying, I will not ever act in that way anymore. So all of those things come into your Islam as positives, as well as all the good things you ever did in your life prior to Islam also come to your Islam as rewards as well, because you didn't lose them because you became Muslim. All of that comes with you, mashallah. So when
towards people,
it's not a sin, it's just still something you have to pay back. And he's talking about a debt like a previous, if you had loans or whatever from the
with
bank.
interest or something like that, you still have to pay them.
You're not out.
Sorry. Yeah. Some
You
people
do our
try
best
that.
and
We're like,
pay them as soon as possible as well. Okay.
Not fair to that person, because you have to be fair.
When Khalid bin al-Walid took up being the commander, he did something that was strategic. It's hot in here.
He switched them around left to right. And then so he right. He switched everything around, then he had him to go behind and make up dust and everything, and his main thing, and then when he, well, I guess I'm going further, when he was able to withdraw and still with dignity after the way they withdraw also.
As he was pulling back, the Byzantine commanders are like, he's pulling us in, he's pulling us in. So they're like, no, we're not doing that anymore, stop, you know. But also they're like, what is this? They got new replacements? They have new recruits? Because they didn't recognize any of the faces that they were fighting the day before.
I was amazed
you know?
that they would recognize the faces. To me,
they
it would just be
recognized who's trying to-
chaos. But I thought when I read that, I was like, that is brilliant.
Yes.
That just by switching people up in the night, they thought they had new soldiers. What with the dust and everything, tactics. That was amazing.
Made dust, so basically they couldn't see what was going on.
Yeah, well, I've never been in the
That
military, so to me
and
that's
also,
pretty amazing.
And also, if you think about the dust, you're thinking about there must have been more people arriving because that's a lot of dust, you know.
Why would you want
so
dust?
switch. It was a complete strategy and winning strategy, mashallah.
Something that's telling though, something that probably will go by most people, is his concentration was on the center. And what I gathered from it was.
You mean the Byzantines' concentration was on the center?
No.
No.
His concentration was on his soldiers in the center.
Okay.
And all of that energy was there. We're going to make sure that on the outside doesn't penetrate. But the center is what's important. What I gathered from that is when you look at us as human beings, the center is the call, the heart. And when the heart is strong, it fights everything that comes from the outside. So you always, inshallah, when you see these stories, see you. Because a lot of us read and we see these people 1,400 years ago, and that was for them. But what about 2014? The same battles you guys, we're fighting. You just don't have swords. You just don't have flags. You're fighting mentalities. You're fighting stereotypes, which you mentioned going back and forth. You're fighting family members' mentalities who are shaped by other people's mentalities. And some of us are fighting our own battles, our own fears. So you're always at battle. But the question is, who do you put your faith in? And when you put your faith in the right thing, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything else takes care of itself.
Absolutely.
Inshallah.
Very good. We have to finish because I have to get in here as soon as possible. I'm running way.
He might have ran away.
He may have. Did he leave?
No.
I know. I told him to come out and he's not moving. Ahmed?
He was there a few minutes ago.
I think he was waiting on us. He came and looked a few times.
Okay.
You should know we're not going to stop talking if he doesn't.
He knows me.
Almost.
Anyway, there were a couple of things that I wanted just to finish up with is how many people died from the Muslim side?
12.
And this is huge. 200,000 soldiers against 3,000. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Joy. You have 12 martyrs. Blew me away. SubhanAllah. 12 people who passed. Who died in martyrdom. Okay, and then also I would like for you guys to pay specific attention to Zayd, the comments about Zayd, Ja'far, and Abdullah, and their commitment to the battle.